各位578度的居民，还有来自新加坡各个角落的朋友，晚上好！欢迎你来参加新加坡民主党第3场群众大会。我们的群众大会很快就要开始了，请大家过来好不好？不要在那里。
That's right, we're about to start real soon. I see some people standing by the roadside. Do come over here, right in the center of the field, because we got tons of space. Okay, and you are gonna get the best seats in the house right at the thick of the action, okay? If you, we've got the merchandise booth at the back also, so do feel free to visit and support us, please, by buying some of our merchandise. We got umbrellas, we got whistles, we got shirts, we got lots of stuff, right, Lee?
在还没有开始之前，如果你还有时间的话，请到后面的摊位去看看，那里有新加坡民主党的纪念品，包括了雨伞，万一今天晚上你会用到的话，或者是还有一些 T 恤，还有我们的一些杯。还有很多很多的东西，尤其是书籍。如果你想更了解新加坡民主党的话，请到后面的摊位去看一下。谢谢大家。
Right, so once again, we're going to start real soon. So if you're living nearby, please come down now because we're going to start real soon, okay? And if you're standing on the sides, please come to the center. And we'll see you real soon, okay?
好，我们等一下见。
6 Ladies and gentlemen, residents of Bukit Batok, supporter of SDP,
各位五七八度的居民，还有所有民主党的支持者，以及所有来自新加坡各个角落的朋友，晚上好。
are you ready?
准备好了吗？
Okay, before we start the rally, let me introduce you to some of the merchandise that you can get from our merchandise booth. Very importantly, looking at the weather today, this SDP umbrella, you see?
在我们开始之前，如果你有空的话，你又怕下雨的话，你可以去那里，那里有很多的雨伞是民主党的纪念品，那么还有一些，比如说荧光棒，你也可以用来等一下助兴。
Yeah, we even have the light sticks. The open field is a little bit dark. You can wave the light sticks so that we can see you.
那你可以利用这个荧光棒，等一下在黑暗中挥动，至少我们还可以看到你的脸，那也很不错。
Thank you so much. Also, may I have a very small request? Can I have all the rallies supporters to please come forward?
希望所有的支持者和参加群众大会的朋友，你们不要害羞，请靠近一点，请靠近一点，让我们的人民集中一点，团结一点。
So that we can also hear you when we speak.
那我们可以听到你的欢呼，听到你的声音。当我们在讲话的时候，那演讲者也不会觉得太寂寞，对不对？
Don't worry if it rains because the SDP will stand together with you even if it rains.
下雨的话，新加坡民主党也会站在你身边，风雨无阻。我们的群众大会就要开始了，谢谢大家的耐心。
Yeah, thank you for your patience. The rally will begin very soon. Thank you very much.
谢谢大家。
我有了，Visa 给我啊，OK，谢谢。
Mic check, test 1, 2, check.
Yeah, I just told her.
Check, 1, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the SDP Rally 2016. Give yourselves a round of applause. And now, ladies and gentlemen, presenting your MCs for tonight, put your hands together and welcome Dennis and me.
Can you smell what the SDP is cooking? Woo! Good evening, fellow Singaporeans, residents of Bukit Batok, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the SDP's third rally here at the Bukit Batok Industrial Park. How are y'all feeling? Alamak, never eat dinner. How are y'all feeling? Woo! Alright, that's right. Hey, my name is Dennis, and this is my co-host Lee. She'll be doing in Mandarin.
各位朋友，晚上好！欢迎你们来参加新加坡民主党在这次补选的第3场群众大会。安哥，标星级开始了。所以呢，今天晚上除了有演讲的嘉宾之外，我们那里还有一些摊位需要你的帮助。你每一份支持，不管你的心意大小，对他们来说都可以走更长的路。
That's right. Hey, I see a lot of people standing in the back. Do please come over because we got lots of space right in front of the stage here. Okay, come on over. Okay, you're standing by the roadside. Come on over. Okay. We're just exercise with you. Are you guys ready? So, my question is, what is the time? Alamak! Hey, the uncle there was looking at his watch. It's about 7. No! Okay, when I go, what is the time? You guys go, now is the time, okay? Ready, let's try that. 3, 2, 1. What is the time?
Now is the time.
What is the time?
Now is the time.
What is the time?
Now is the time.
Alright, give yourselves a big round of applause. Woo!
是的，改变就是现在，就是现在，就在5级8都。第一步的改变就从5级8都开始。所以现在我们要介绍我们第一位演讲者。
Okay, for our first speaker this evening, she has been with the SDP for almost 10 years. That's right, 10 years ago, when Nokia was still popular and everyone was on Friendster, remember? So, she is married to the SDP CEC member, Mr. Jufri Salim, and they have 3 children aged 15, 13, and 10. She's also a seasoned performing artist, and together with her husband, they both own a music publishing company. So if you guys wanna be a rock star or something, you can come backstage after the rally and talk to them, okay? Just saying. She also happens to be a former Mrs. Singapore finalist in 2008.
接下来这位演讲者，她除了美丽之外，她也很有智慧，因为她曾经是2008年新加坡夫人的总决赛者。更重要的是，她也有独立的思考能力，因为她加入新加坡民主党已经10年了。目前她是新加坡民主党的一份子，她先生也是新加坡民主党的成员 Jufri Salim。那么在前天晚上，你应该有听过她的发言。那目前她是3个孩子的母亲，本身也是一个经验丰富的表演艺人，和她的先生一起打理音乐制作公司。现在我们要欢迎我们的第一位演讲者。
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Miss Surah Abar.
欢迎苏拉雅。
Dear people of Bukit Batok, my name is Surah, and I've been actively involved in the SDP for close to 10 years now. I am pleased to be here speaking for Dr. Chee Juan, the SDP's candidate for Bukit Batok in the coming by-election. Many people have asked me, why are you involved in politics? Why are you supporting Dr. Chee? Why don't you just concentrate on your career and your family? The answers are all linked together. Like so many Singaporeans, I am concerned about my family and my children. I want a better future for them. I want them to grow up in a society where they will be treated fairly and with justice. I want them to grow up in a place where they have the opportunity to learn and to develop their fullest potential. I want them to grow up into decent people who care for other people and work to build a better world for everyone. I do not think that the current PAP approach is good for Singapore and Singaporeans. The focus on making money at all costs, the way they treat the poor and the elderly, and the pressure that they put on families and young children are just not right. Salam buat semua penduduk Bukit Batok. Nama saya Surah dan saya aktif bersama SDP selama hampir 10 tahun sekarang. Dan saya amat berbesar hati kerana berada di atas pentas ini bersama Dr. Chee Juan, calon bagi SDP untuk Bukit Batok di dalam pilihan raya kecil yang mendatang ini. Ramai yang bertanya, kenapa saya berkecimpung di dalam politik bersama SDP? Kenapa saya menyokong Dr. Chee Juan dan kenapa tak memberi saja tumpuan kepada kerjaya dan keluarga saya? Jawapannya ada kaitan dengan semuanya. Saya prihatin terhadap keluarga saya dan anak-anak saya. Saya ingin masa depan yang lebih baik buat mereka. Saya mahu mereka membesar di dalam masyarakat di mana mereka akan diperlakukan dengan adil dan saksama. Saya ingin mereka membesar di dalam suasana di mana mereka diberi peluang untuk belajar dan berkembang sepenuhnya. Saya ingin mereka membesar menjadi orang yang baik, mengambil berat terhadap masyarakat demi membina sesuatu yang lebih baik buat semua. Saya tidak rasa cara PAP yang sekarang ini baik untuk Singapura dan penduduknya. Kerana fokus mereka adalah untuk meraih wang yang banyak. Lihat saja bagaimana mereka memperlakukan rakyat yang susah, warga emas dan tekanan terhadap keluarga dan anak-anak kita. Sememangnya tidak betul. Many recent incidents have raised the concerns of young parents like my husband and myself. We were part of a group of parents of SDP CEC members who wrote an open letter calling for an inquiry into the death of the young boy who committed suicide shortly after the police interrogation. Now, Dr. Chee is one person who is not afraid to ask difficult questions, to demand accountability from the authorities to ensure that the weakest in our society, such as the young and vulnerable children, are protected. Many of the people living in Bukit Batok have young children and grandchildren. They need someone who is willing to speak up for them in Parliament. Someone who can demand changes to our educational system to ensure fairness and to give all children a decent education. They also need someone who is prepared to serve the people of Bukit Batok full time. Dr. Chee has promised that he will serve the people full time if he is elected MP. And I trust that promise. I have known Dr. Chee for close to 10 years. And I've never known him to break a promise. Sure, he is human like all of us and has his own flaws and makes mistakes. But my husband and I can vouch for his character and integrity. Anyone who has spent time with him can. Now, together with his team, Dr. Chee has come up with a range of social programs that will benefit the people of Bukit Batok. These are going to be run by volunteers and will be ground out depending on the wishes of the people, not imposed from the above. The upgrading programs proposed by the previous MP will go ahead regardless of whoever is the MP of Bukit Batok. Our civil servants and government agencies are not biased and will serve the people regardless. Now is the time to vote for Dr. Chee without fear for a better future for you and your children. Majulah Singapura. Selamat malam semua.
谢谢，谢谢他刚才激昂的演讲。那么我的另外一位朋友，快点上来。接下来，如果你还在刚刚抵达的话，欢迎你来到新加坡民主党第3场群众大会。时间真的不多了，因为星期六就是投票日。那么改变就是现在，就在5级8都。如果你还有什么样的想法的话，如果你对徐顺全博士不太了解的话，请到后面的摊位去，因为那里有他自己写的书。你听别人乱说，不如听听跟他一起工作的人怎么说，他现在到底是怎么样的人。
That's right, Lee. If you want to hear what Dr. Chee has to say, all of the people who work with him are right here. So you can ask us, or you can buy one of his books and get the real deal on what really went on in his life, okay? So, next, what's up next? We've got our next speaker is the Vice Chairman of the Singapore Democratic Party. He's a social psychologist and lecturer. currently teaching psychology and statistics for Murdoch University at Kaplan, Singapore.
接下来这位演讲者，他的名字，他54岁，已婚，是一名大学讲师，他也是新加坡民主党的副主席。那么告诉你，他曾经在2011年大选的时候，代表民主党出征了38旺集选区。接着在去年的大选，他也再次的出征竞选马西岭油池集选区。我们要欢迎接下来这位演讲者，陈两玉先生。
Mr. Juan Tan.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Dear friends and residents of Bukit Batok, it is really a pleasure and a privilege for me to address you again tonight. In my speech, I wish to focus on two of our social programs which I play a role in putting together. But before I go into that, let me touch on something very quickly, unrelated topic. As you know, I was a candidate at Marsiling UT GRC during the last election. Although not elected, my fellow candidates and I continue to keep in touch with the constituency. Every now and then, we'll pop by. Well, this afternoon, we heard that there was a fire at Block 215, Marsiling Lane. Fortunately, we also heard that no one was injured and that the fire was swiftly put out by the firefighters from the SCDF. So I just want to take this moment to acknowledge and thank our brave men and women from the SCDF and other departments for doing such a good job in containing the mishap. They deserve an applause, ladies and gentlemen. All right, coming back to our social program. I noticed as I helped Dr. Chee to canvass around Bukit Batok that there are many elderly and needy people in Bukit Batok. As a social psychologist, I'm very mindful of the social implication of that fact. But really, you don't need to be a psychologist at all to be able to appreciate some of these implications. Elderly people who live alone especially and have some form of disability face many, many challenges. Even mundane tasks like getting food, buying grocery, going to the doctor can present challenging situations. If they're lucky enough to be living in a friendly neighborhood where residents help and look out for each other, then some of this difficulty can be alleviated. But they cannot afford to take any chances. What if they are not living in such a neighborhood? And this is where the SDP comes in. We call it Hearts for Bukit Batok. We want to create a caring communities for our elderly, and in doing so, we will create a lifestyle that enriches both the receiver and the giver. Yes, the giver too. A wise man once said long ago, "Blessed are those who give." Have you ever helped someone before? Have you done a deed of kindness recently? If you have, you will remember that you felt really good. You felt blessed about what you have done. And that's what it's about. In Hearts for Bukit Batok, we want residents to take care of one another, starting with a better off family, adopting and caring for low-income ones. That way, we will build bonds among the community, and Hearts for Bukit Batok becomes part of that community spirit. we will encourage residents to adopt an elderly or a family by contributing their time or resources to take care of needy seniors in their neighborhood. As I work on the project, one of the things that encourages, that motivates, that keeps me going is the response from the people around who heard about this. Frequently, I get oh, that's a good idea. Count me in, I want to help. These are the things that kept me going on and on. Although not officially launched, the Heart for Bukit Batok is already gaining traction. Just recently, in one of our rounds, we came across a family who badly needed a wheelchair ramps, but they were too poor to be able to afford one. Well, we sounded out the family needs through our network, and almost immediately, a donor responded, and the need was met. The donor do not want to be named, but I think she deserves an applause. Another incident, an elderly person whom Dr. Chee met does not have a leg. But some of us don't have a shoe, but you appreciate when you see someone do not have legs. Well, we featured her in our SDP Facebook, and again, a kind soul responded and wrote to us and offered to get her an artificial limb. Again, he didn't want to be identified, he wanted to stay anonymous. Well, this is some of the way in which we'll go about do this program. You're getting a taste of it right now. But you see, we need your help. We need you to vote Dr. Chee in. Then we'll be able to facilitate this program to its fullest. But nonetheless, this program will continue on. Now, the program will ensure that contributors are properly, or contribution rather, are properly channeled to deserving recipients. And the program will coordinate the offered help so that we can match the helper and those that need help. It is hoped that the Heart of Bukit Batok will eventually take a life of its own and morph into a lifestyle that enriches both the receiver and the giver. Not only am I a psychologist, I also teach at the Murdoch University. And as a teacher, of course, I'm very mindful of the educational program. As a teacher, I, of course, have my heart, my student, their welfare, their educational needs, and all. So this is another of my pet projects, because one thing that irks me a lot is the fact that our education ministry keep patting themselves on the back to say how good they are. You know, when you keep saying how good you are and you are blind to all the flaws, you will never improve yourself. And that's what happened with our Ministry of Education. We have so much flaws, but are not addressed. And today, I don't want to go into the technicalities of that educational system, but rather, again, I want to look at the social impact that it has. Many students, and I'm sure you have come across some of them, and some of them may be related to you. Some of them may be your friends or your friends' children. They don't do well in school. They found a disconnect. And so what do? pretty much nothing because they don't know what to do. They have nobody to confide with. Well, what I want to do with my colleagues with this program we call the Pathfinder is to create a friendly environment for these students to de-stress, to find friends, to build confidence and unleash their talents. Many of these students find that disconnect with school for one reason or another. It could be because of our educational system. It could be some other problem at home, perhaps, or it could be some other problem in a community. But this place we are going to call Pathfinders will allow them to come and find someone with a listening ear who would listen to them. So it's not just a place for tuition. Yes, they can find tuition, and we will have scholarship for needy students. And we will find coaching for them as well. But this is a place where they can come and interact with other students, play a game, find a friendly ears for their problems. They need to confide with someone. And these are all important things which very often our school system do not have. When a student has a good time, you can tell that they probably are academically well off, right, in school. And those are the teacher's path. But what about those people who are not academically well off? Are they really stupid? No, I don't think so. And I'm speaking as a psychologist now. Many of these people are intelligent students, but somehow they find a disconnect. Could be because of our educational system. Could be something else. But we have to get to the core. And this is what Pathfinder intend to do, to help these students who fall through the cracks, through the academic cracks, if you like. So we are going to help this student to find a way to be able to enhance their talents, all right? To be able to come to a safe place where they can make mistakes and when they can learn and flourish. And that's really important. So I just want to present these two social programs to you, and I hope that you would be able to compare the programs that Dr. Chee has for you in Bukit Batok and versus that of Muralis, which to now, I'm still wondering what they are, vague as they are. I heard something about education. I heard something about healthcare. It sounds very familiar. We have been planning that for years. And they have been the ruling party for so many years. How come it takes them so long to suddenly come up with this plan? I don't know. But friends, I leave you with this. I know you are all intelligent people, and you know how to judge. I hope that you will make the right choice come 7th of May when you go into the ballot box. When you are about to mark that cross, please choose the right man for Bukit Batok. Please choose Dr. Chee. Please choose the SDP. So I'll leave you with this. Thank you very much. Vote wisely, vote correctly, vote Dr. Chee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John Tan.
谢谢陈良玉先生。
That's right, the SDP, it's a competent, constructive, and compassionate party. So remember that on 7th of May, polling day, okay?
谢谢，也欢迎所有刚刚抵达现场的朋友，欢迎你们来到新加坡民主党第3场群众大会。我们的时间真的不多了，你不知不知道新加坡民主党其实有一个吉祥物 mascot。That's
right.
Danny the Bear， 也就是说，这只民主熊就在那些摊位里头。如果你想带一只回家的话，你可以过去。那么你也可以带一只给你的孩子，提醒他新加坡是可能有民主的。
Right, that's right. Please support us by going to the merchandise booth in the back and just check out. There's items for everybody, okay? Our next speaker represented SDP and stood in Marsiling UT GRC in 2015 general elections. He holds a bachelor's degree in architectural study from the NUS, a diploma in teaching and training from Cambridge, and a diploma in counseling from Kaplan, Singapore.
接下来这位45岁的演讲者，他过去20年来积极的为所有马来的社团争取福利，因为很多时候在新加坡，马来团体是被边缘化的一群，他们的福利在哪里？谁能为他们发言？所以今天晚上这位演讲者，他就是在2015年大选竞选马西岭油池集选区的达曼胡里。
The D-man himself, Mr. Damanhuri bin Abbas. Give it up.
欢迎达曼胡里。
Wan Sang Hao. Salam sejahtera, good evening and vanakkam. Resident of Bukit Batok, we are 4 days away to polling day. SDP has campaigned to win you into our side and vote our man Dr. Chee Juan. We will continue to do more these next few days and hope we have done enough to persuade you to vote Dr. Chee into Parliament. The last few days we have seen and heard PAP do nothing but condemning the person of Dr. Chee. When your opponent have no other issues but have to beat you by using character assassination, then you know they are afraid. So clearly the white are afraid of the raids in Parliament. So let's vote Dr. Chee in as the first raid after our many years of absence. Dr. Chee and SDP have presented to you the ideas and plans for Bukit Batok, from the Town Council plan to the Social Welfare Initiative, should you vote him in. Bukit Batok can bring back the beautiful kampong days where we all care for each other regardless of race or religion, where we are respectful and tolerant of one another. We visit each other's houses and greet one another during Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, Deepavali and Christmas. Under the SDP and led by Dr. Chee, we will work very hard to bring back those golden days of our multiracial and multi-religious society. We will do so by living the pledge of our nation of one united people regardless of language, race or religion. We will not sideline the new citizen, but will engage them to bring them into the fold of the wider Singaporean society. Throughout the rallies, all our speakers have presented to you the benefits that we will all gain by having a stronger opposition voice in Parliament to ensure that there are real check and balance. This own self check, own self mentality has created so many problems for the people, and it is most unnatural and must be stopped. With Dr. Chee in Parliament representing you, the voters of Bukit Batok and Singaporeans, we can begin to create a more fairer political environment that will give space for alternative views that will only bring improvement and maturity to our society. And the trust of the government towards its people must improve, as we the people are concerned about our country's future and want to be consulted and not sidelined anymore. We do not want policies to be driven down our throat. We must learn to agree to disagree and let the people have the freedom to choose the view they prefer, and not threaten the people with misleading doomsday scenario if oppositions get into Parliament, which essentially discredit the good works and the ability of the neutral civil service and statutory board that are the backbone of our country's efficient administration, because they will remain no matter who runs the government. Actually, the public service has done very well when it remains in the hands of the public. But when we privatize them, we are seeing the negative consequences. Many of the hardworking cleaners, security officers, car park attendants, etc. were proud workers with strong job securities. But when privatization kicks in, for the profit, for the sake of company profit, these workers suffered by being retrenched and now work on contracts. So there are many things not right in this country. The government seems to be concerned only with the money that the rich of the world brings into Singapore. We must address these lopsided priorities with a powerful voice of the people in Parliament. It will start by putting Dr. Chee Juan there this Saturday. In this by-election, there is a chance for us to break the PAP-induced political sedation. This addiction to PAP-style democracy can end if people just stop taking their cheap drugs and go political cold turkey for once. We guarantee that you will wake up seeing the political rainbow of democracy, just like seeing the clear sky when the rain is gone. Bukit Batok, you can, and God willing, be the new ensign. So on 7 May, cast that vote for our man, the real proven people's leader, the dedicated father and husband to his beautiful family, who sacrificed all for their dad and remain grateful living with him through thick and thin in their small, cozy, but damn expensive SDP flat like most of us. And when we do so, all of us in SDP, all our ranks and file will be with you in Bukit Batok with Dr. Chee and transform this town and immortalize the name of Bukit Batok in the annals of Singapore democratic history. Just a few words in Malay to Malay-speaking audience. Anda berpeluang mengukir sejarah dengan memilih Dr. Chee Juan sebagai wakil anda di Parlimen. Bersama SDP, kita akan membangunkan sebuah estet perumahan yang mengembalikan keindahan masa-masa kita di kampung dulu, di mana semua kaum saling hormat menghormati dan bergotong royong tanpa perasaan curiga. SDP adalah parti yang mengutuk segala bentuk diskriminasi berbau perkauman dalam semua lapisan masyarakat. Tempat pertama yang harus berubah adalah pemerintah, kerana ia mewarnai dan memberi kesan kepada rakyat jelata. Pemerintah seharusnya menyahut baik segala saranan SDP untuk meningkatkan lagi kesatuan rakyat dan menghapuskan apapun perasaan curiga yang masih ada terhadap kaum minoriti termasuk orang Melayu. Kami yakin ramai orang Cina menyokong wawasan SDP untuk membasmi segala jenis halangan terhadap kemajuan orang-orang Melayu di Singapura. Oleh itu, kita mengajak anda untuk mengundi Dr. Chee untuk masa depan kita yang lebih adil dan saksama. Before I end, let me say loudly, Leicester are champions of England. The Whites were beaten last night by the Blues, and it is the year of the Foxes. Leicester's winning the Premier League showed that underdog with little money and with full support of the common people can be formidable when they play with passion and a very big heart of the people. In this campaign, SDP is the underdog. But like last night's victory, the signs are many, my friends. The heavens are speaking loudly to you. So whether you are Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea or Man City supporters, the time has come for you to vote for Singapore's only red team in town. So let us join together and vote red. And just like Leicester last night, we will beat the Whites. So because we at SDP will fight like Leicester with our passion and heart. So thank you and good night. And just last word for Spurs fans, there's no pun intended on the Whites. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Daman. Wow, that's
谢谢
right.
大曼胡里先生。
How are you doing? Are you still there? I can't hear you. Are you still there? What is the time? What is the time? What is the time? Give yourselves a big round of applause. Woo!
接下来我们要介绍的这位演讲者，他的背景非常特殊。在上个世纪80年代的时候，他曾经加入新加坡人民行动党，那么还有跟他们的基层工作。可是后来他发现 BNP 变质了，所以他现在就选择加入了民主党。因为如此，所以呢，他在过去在2011年的时候，曾经挑战38望集选区，也在2015年大选出征了578度单选区。
Our next speaker, while in the past he has served in the grassroots organizations of Ayer Rajah constituency under former PAP MP Dr. Tan Cheng Bock. He joined the PAP in the early 80s, believing in the party's aim of uplifting the lives of Singaporeans. However, after having worked within the party and its grassroots organizations for some time, he began to have doubts about the direction the party was heading and the values it seemed to be inculcating. After concluding that the party has strayed from its mission, he decided to join the SDP, which is more in line with his values. Wise choice.
让我们欢迎接下来这位演讲者，这位过来人，这位经历了很多也领悟了很多的演讲者桑达西麦先生。
Give it up for Mr. Sadasivam Veriya.
Dear friends, fellow citizens, vote for Dr. Chee. Vote for Dr. Chee. Vote for Dr. Chee. We need a voice in Parliament who can speak for us, who live with us, who understand our problems. So remember that we have got another 2 more days. See, if you can convince your friends, if each one of you can reach 1, vote for SDP. Your future is safe. Do not forget. Remember that 6,588 voters have voted for me last election. I thank them. I urge them to convince 1 voter each. We will see Dr. Chee in Parliament. It's all in your hands. Do not forget that. Para pengundi, saudara dan saudari, undilah SDP. Bila Dr. Chee masuk di dalam Parlimen, dia akan jagakan hidupan kita. Kita nak jagakan hidupan kita sendiri. Bila kita undi PAP, dia masuk dalam Parlimen, dia tidak berani nak soal. Tidak berani nak ucapkan apa-apa hal. Sebab dia nak jaga diri. Kalau dia tanya soalan, dia kena tendang. Election night, dia tidak ada tempat. Pasal itu, mesti undi SDP. Jangan lupa. Dear friends, we had 2 rallies in the past. We have already said a lot of things. There are a lot of issues concern Singaporeans, concern Bukit Batok residents. All that PAP has been doing, they've been going around telling that SDP is not capable of running town council. We are not kids. We are not children. We are adults. We are matured. We do have a lot of qualified people, lawyers, doctors, engineers, and you name, we have them with us to help and assist us the running of the town council. Do not forget that. Tell Mr. Murali, we are not stupid. We have people who can help us, volunteer to help us, not because of money, not because of salary. Last election, I received a file from one of the residents here. He gave me the file. It is regarding the town council collection, charges, the difference between Bukit Batok charges, Jurong charges, and other town council. I went through the file. There are a lot of issues. So, PAP has been going around telling they are the only one qualified to run town council. But they fail to realize there were issues raised by the Bukit Batok voters. Where is the solution? Nothing. That's number 1. Number 2, go to block 172. Just beside block 172, next to the highway, there is a kind of a track, playground. Go and see for yourself before you go to the polling station. See how badly it has been maintained. PAP has been telling that they are wonderful, they are very good administrators. But look at it, it's abandoned. Why? That is what I've been telling. Bukit Batok is a neglected constituency. Don't you agree? That is the truth. It is in the Jurong Town Council, but it is a neglected constituency. We wonder why Bukit Batok was taken out of GRC. Is it because it had been kicked out of GRC? Could it be? Right? They could have decided, throw Bukit Batok out. They don't want Bukit Batok. So it is in your hands. That's what Dr. Chee has been telling. Town Council, you don't need to worry about it. We know how to manage the cost. We're not going to pay to agents to run. We are going to run ourselves. We're going to have a lot of volunteers. The whole of SDP team is going to be in Bukit Batok. So you need not to worry about your problems. Now, another thing. One of the voters told me at a Gombak rally, he was telling about the Consumer Association. The reason why we have the Consumer Association is to safeguard the price increases. When you go to shop, a cup of coffee, the price differs from one shop to another. Yes or no? Yes. A bowl of meat, the price differs. The duty of Consumer Association to standardize the pricing, make it affordable for everybody, not to help people to make profit. Unfortunately, here you see the differences in prices. Who is there to question? Nobody is going to question about it. So it's going to be year in, year out the same problem. Murali was telling the other day, 400 residents of Bukit Batok residing in rental flats. He may be thinking that the rental flats allocated by the government could be with 400 families. But what about the other blocks? How many more residents are living in a rental flat? Have they done a research? Have they done a survey? Ask them the question. How many of them are living in a 3-room flats in a difficult situation? Who is there to speak for you? Flats, the price has gone up. Luxury cars, we don't need to talk. Even a bowl of meat, the price is different. Transport cost is also fluctuating. So if it goes on like that, our livelihood is at stake. So it's not good to beautify the place. See what is happening in the household. 3-room flats, when we visited, we see them. We feel pity. We see the facilities that they have. It's really as though that we are living in the 60s. So the price changes has affected the livelihood. Cost of living has gone up. Every election we come on stage, we talk about price, cost of living. But unfortunately, we are not in the parliament to find rectification. You sent in a PAP MP who sits there, who listen, who can't question. You need a voice. That is what I'm requesting you. Please urge each and every voter to vote for Dr. Chee. We need a landslide victory. Only then PAP will be afraid. They are worried now. Now, one more important point. When Murali comes around within the next 2 days, ask him one important question. He has been telling that he will raise a lot of questions in the parliament. But ask him. Ask him to reveal the minister's salary. How much each and every minister receive per month. Ask him. Tell the Straits Times to publish it either tomorrow or day after tomorrow. When they publish, then I salute him. Because we tried in the past. No answers. We want to know how much each one is receiving. So do not forget, that is very, very important. If the cabinet minister's salary can be reduced by 40%, we are not talking about 60%, 40%, that money can be well saved, 5 years income. can be well spent for you, for the citizens of Singapore. They build beautiful hospitals. But what is the point? The cost you are transferring to the patients. The patients are the one. Last time there was a joke. When a person gets a heart attack, he goes to a hospital, he will be recovered. But the minute he sees the bill, he dies. Right? Because he can't afford. That is the fact. Right? So friends, do not forget, by getting Dr. Chee has raised a lot of questions. He has mentioned a lot of things. So by getting him into the parliament, you will have a safe future. We need questions to be raised in the parliament. We want the ministers to come up with the answers. We have been talking years in and out about CPF. From the age of 55, I've been talking about it. Now 63. Still my money is stuck inside. Right? I don't know whether I can receive it before I kick the bucket. I'm not too sure. You see the situation? So dear friends, please, this is your future. We are not here on stage to entertain you. We are here because we want to raise up. We want to raise up the issues. We want to talk about the issues. We talk about the problems that you are facing. So getting into parliament, drawing $15,000 is not an important thing. Right? We are not asking about the salary. That's what Dr. Chee says, putting aside some money for everybody's help. But we need questions to be tabled in the parliament. Questions to be answered by the government. Once he is in the parliament, he can raise the question. Then you see within the next 4 years what is happening. If he's not going to perform in the parliament, next election, throw him out. Throw him out. I, as an SDP member, I'm telling you, if Dr. Chee cannot perform, throw him out. Give him a chance now. Only then that you will know. So do not forget, I was a PAP member before. I was very proud to be a member of PAP in those days because I envy Augustine Tan, Lau Tek Soon, Tan Cheng Bok. All of them raised a lot of questions in the parliament because they're all concerned about the citizens of Singapore. Unlike the present members of parliament, I respected them, that's why I joined the party. But when I realized, totally different. They never listen to you. Even the PAP members, some of you may be PAP members, remember this. When I was in PAP, I wrote a letter to PN, LKY, at that time, CC to Dr. Tan Cheng Bok. I said, since the day that I joined the party, I have not received any letters or pamphlets from the PAP. Do you think that I'm only suitably qualified to be a flag carrier and a banner layer? I wrote. You can check. Ask the press, if not sure I have the letter, I can give you a copy of it. I wrote to LKY, gave CC. I was invited by Cheng Bok and he told me, advised me not to. That's why I respected Cheng Bok. He is my mentor. I respected him. So do not forget, friends, vote for Dr. Chee. We don't have much time. If time permits, the whole night I'll be talking to you. Right? There are a lot of issues to share with you. Vakala Perumakale, தமிழில் பேசுவதற்கு நேரம் அதிகமாக இல்லை. இருப்பினும் கவனத்தில் கொள்ளுங்கள், உங்களுடைய எதிர்காலம் உங்கள் கைகளில். டாக்டர் சீயை நாடாளுமன்றத்திற்கு அனுப்புவதன் மூலம் பல குறைகளுக்கு நாம் தீர்வு காண முடியும். கேள்விகளுக்கு பதில் வேண்டும். கேள்விகளுக்கு பதில் கிடையாது. முரளியை நாடாளுமன்றத்திற்கு அனுப்புவதன் மூலம் எதையும் சாதிக்க முடியாது. அவரால் கேள்விகளை எழுப்புவதற்கும் துணிச்சல் இருக்கா இல்லையா என்று தெரியாது. ஏனால் கட்டுப்பாட்டுக்குள் இருக்க வேண்டும். மக்கள் செயற்கட்சி உறுப்பினர்கள் கட்டுப்பாட்டுக்குள் இருந்து இயங்க வேண்டும். எனவே கவனத்தில் கொள்ளுங்கள். எதிர்கட்சிக்கு வாக்களியுங்கள், ஜனநாயக கட்சிக்கு வாக்களியுங்கள், டாக்டர் சீக்கு வாக்களியுங்கள். நண்பர்களையும் உங்களுடைய உறவினர்களையும் தூண்டி அவர்களையும் வாக்களிக்க செய்யுங்கள். நன்றி. Good night, friends. See you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Sadasivam.
谢谢萨达西曼先生。
Great job. Okay, wow, I can see the crowd is building. How are you guys? Woo, that's right. Okay, our next speaker has been actively involved in SDP since 2007. And her main area of work in the party has been fundraising, and she's also a CEC member. She's also SDP's former candidate in Yuhua SMC in the GE 2015. She's also our party's 美女。
吓了一跳。接下来这位演讲者，其实他吃过很多苦，因为吃过苦，所以他不希望新加坡人也受苦。这位他在小的时候就半工半读，而且考获了他的教育文凭。在2015年大选的时候，他代表民主党竞选了裕华单选区。现在他在2007年的时候加入民主党，成为这个党的中委和助理财政。我们现在就来欢迎下一位演讲者，她就是民主党的美女
Miss Jaslyn Go 回来，
欢迎吴慧玲。
As I was announced the fundraising for the party, before I start my speech, may I kindly get your support to go to our merchandise booth and show your support, because for this by-election we need as much support as we can to fight this by-election. Thank you very much. Dear fellow Singaporeans and Bukit Batok residents, good evening. 五七八都的居民们，新加坡的同胞们，晚上好。It was only 8 months ago that you all went to the poll and voted for the MP of your choice. Now, 8 months later, you have another opportunity to vote for a new MP. From the hepatitis outbreak that caused 8 deaths, to the SMRT safety lapse that caused the death of 2 young and promising technicians, where is the accountability that we expect from leaders who we pay tons of our taxpayer money for? One case that affected me was Private Dominic Lee case. 再过几年，我的儿子即将要去服兵役，我也像许多妈妈们担心我的儿子活着进去，没命退役。以前周围的朋友担心自己的孩子快要服兵役时，难免你都会听到他们在讨论时怎么样去跟。当时的我都会尽量劝服他们说，别跟啦，让孩子去好好的当兵，他们必须去磨练，去吃苦，才会对社会有贡献。可是经过李瑞峰事件后，难免会有更多的父母担心，都会有跟的想法。我们辛辛苦苦的把我们的儿子抚养成人，每个孩子都是我们的心肝宝贝。林瑞峰的孩子，林瑞峰的父母也一样。政府必须知道，我们每一个新加坡的儿子都是宝贵的。我们的儿子不只是他们的一个数字，一个没有脸孔、没有名字的数字，一个他们可以当作不存在的数字，一个他们可以轻易忽略的问题。Each of our Singaporean son is precious. Our government must know that we are not simply a digit. We are not faceless or a nameless number that they can forget about or feel it is an inconvenient problem. It was difficult to hear that the minister himself saying that the officer responsible for the incident were punished by setback, careers, and fine over Dominic's death. How heartless, how insensitive for a leader to have measured the death of a Singapore son and compare it to the monetary career penalties imposed on those who caused his death. I want my son to be proud of donning our SAF uniform, to know the importance of his role in defending our beloved country. In fact, I want all our young Singaporean sons to serve with pride and distinction, to be proud of their service to this great country of ours. But when they do, we as parents would like to know that our government is there with us to ensure and assure us that the SAF has the highest safety standard for our son. If things somehow get wrong, we expect our government to be absolutely transparent in finding the cause, and if there were lapses, to step forward and take responsibility and be accountable. They cannot hide behind the veil of the law to say that the government cannot be held accountable. We need to challenge and debate about such law that keep accountability at arm's length. Our son protect the nation, but who protect them? 我们的儿子保护国家，但是谁来保护他们？政府必须有问责的意识，必须给人民一个交代。All that our MINDEF can tell us is the monetary loss of the officer responsible is their biggest punishment. Fellow Singaporeans, is this the kind of cold and heartless government we want? Well, they will convince you that the family will only want to sue for money. But what they will never understand is that those grieving family want to sue for accountability. This government will never understand that for this family, money means little when their son, their blood, and their future is already dead. 政府没办法了解，父母们的要的不是金钱的赔偿，金钱不能赔偿一个丢失了的生命。我们要的是一个政府公正的问责心。This doesn't just affect us Singaporeans. It will affect our new friends who have just gotten citizenship in this country. Their son will also have to go through NS, and they have to expect the same concern that we do. Any mothers who loved her child would be concerned about the safety of our son. How could we not? So what will be the recourse that these parents have? This is why the SDP will be having legal clinics to assist parents faced with the same unfortunate circumstances. The PAP will say that they already have such services, and they will mock our effort to help and assist such cases. Do tell me, if any of these services conducted by the PAP have even bothered to contact the family of the deceased to offer assistance in demanding the government answer? I know after speaking personally to the mother of Dominic Lee, not even one minister, not even MP have even bothered to personally offer word of condolences. Would you think that legal clinic run by the PAP will assist you if you have issues with the government to demand an explanation for the death of your son? 我跟李瑞峰的母亲谈过之后，也知道不幸的事情发生后，部长甚至议员也懒惰亲自登门拜访，去慰问这名母亲。当你需要政府给你死去的儿子一个交代时，当你需要问责政府时，您真正的认为人民行动党的法律医疗会在这种时刻帮助您讨回公道吗？ My dear fellow Singaporeans, mother especially, do the right thing to begin to protect your son, our son, from an uncaring government that simply refused to take accountability for hardly anything. Show that you care for your son, your brothers, your husband, by telling the government that their death years is not acceptable anymore. 五级八都的居民们，亲爱的同胞们，尤其是妈妈们，让我们一起站出来保护我们的儿子。我们不可以再让政府轻易的敷衍我们。为了我们的儿子、我们的哥哥、我们的弟弟、我们的丈夫，让我们一起传达政府一个讯息：政府不能再忽视人民，不能对人民置之不理。This is a problem we face with. You are given lip service to say that you will have this and you will have that, and that's only during election time. But the moment real problem arises caused by the indiscretion of a flawed system, you'll be left on your own. Do not wait till you have to bury or cremate your loved ones. Make the stand. Make the government account for their mistakes. The SDP will speak up for you. The SDP will represent you in Parliament, filled with all the MPs who are busy even to attend the Parliament sessions. Dr. Chee Juan will be the MP that will make your voice heard. Vote for him. Give him the mandate here in Bukit Batok. Vote for Dr. Chee. Vote for the SDP. 就是现在，新加坡，请投新加坡民主一票，请投徐顺全一票。谢谢大家，晚安。Good evening.
Thank you, Miss Jaslyn Go.
谢谢吴慧玲，
Very powerful speech.
谢谢你，谢谢你。五级八都的居民，你们要怎么样的未来？新加坡人，你们要怎么样的国家？
That's right. You decide your future. You decide what's in store for our nation. Bukit Batok, this is our second chance, okay? There's just one chance more before, we go to the polls. It's just an X on a piece of paper, but it means so much.
对，改变就是现在。我们有多少个补选？我们有多少个5年？接下来这位演讲者，他是一家医院的行政经理，而且他曾经担任民主党青年团的副主席和主席的职位，在2011年被选入党中央委员会，而且是当时最年轻的中委员。在2001年的时候，代表民主党在丰家集选区参加大选，然后不怕死的，在去年他又代表民主党竞选马西岭油池集选区。
Yes, our next speaker joined the SDP in the 90s and was the founding member of the Young Democrats, the youth wing of the party. He's, of course, not so young anymore. He later became its vice president and then president. He stood in the Hong Kong GRC in 2001 general elections and again in Marsiling UT GRC in the 2015 general elections. It's with my greatest pleasure Please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Bryan Lim.
欢迎林文兴先生。
都怪我太高了。Thanks, Jeffrey。各位五级巴都选区的选民，各位亲爱的朋友们，晚上好。刚才我们民主党很担心这场群众大会会因为天气的影响而取消。幸好有你们的热情啊，让我们民主党的火箭升天，闪电乌云自动散开。天下太平，对不对？好啦，正式演讲啦。还记得我中学的时候，喜欢跟朋友借那个小叮当的漫画来看。大家还记得小叮当有个法宝叫时光机吗？知道吗？这个时光机能穿越时空，能带你到指定的时间和地点。我一直很想要拥有这样一台的时光机，因为我想可以穿越到过去，然后我可以去弥补人生的一些过失和遗憾，并且把本来想要做的事、没有完成的事一一地完成。但是更重要的是，我现在更想在这次的5级巴都补选使用这台时光机。各位，你们知道为什么吗？因为我想知道行动党在接下来这几天还要耍什么花招，出什么 pattern。当然，我们都知道时光机只是个虚构的道具，但是行动党恶劣的政治手段却是货真价实的。各位，我们不必动用到任何时光机或水晶球，就能预测行动党在接下来这关键的几天所要出的奥博，买马票都没那么准。行动党可能又想借用张时中的课题，再次抨击许顺全博士的人格。但是，我本身已经在上届大选已经以英语和华语讲解了一番了，证据确凿。所以我们不需要在这个课题上再钻牛角尖，以免又掉入行动党所设下的陷阱。行动党还可能用另外一个招数，那就是毒信 （poison letter）。上届大选，我们民主党在荷兰5级芝麻选区，还有工人党在阿余尼集选区已经领教过了这个奥博啊。在上届大选，行动党动用了大量的基层组织、员工和志愿者，在冷静日之前，挨家挨户地分派这些毒信，让我们2个政党措手不及。各位，你们也不要忘了哦，行动党还可以利用在世界新闻自由指数高居153席次的主流媒体，在冷静日伺机打压民主党一番，而我们民主党只能手无寸铁，坐以待毙地期望伤害能被减到最低。最近，我的岳母看了《联合晚报》的标题，看了李总理的言辞，他于心不忍地对我说：“小林啊，不要跟行动党斗了，你斗不过他们的。他们势力这么强大，这么霸道，我看算了吧。他们要赢就给他们赢好了，你们就不用那么辛苦了。”各位，你知道我跟我岳母怎么讲吗？我说：“妈，我们不可以向这股恶势力低头。因为人民被行动党恶劣的政策搞得 神魂颠倒，因为人民为行动党失败的政策付出了惨痛的代价，所以人民比我们更辛苦，对不对？况且，行动党并不强大，因为在一个真正的民主社会，人民最大。但是，人民需要一把强而有力的替代声音，因为你们需要这把声音在国会里为你们喉舌，以便制衡行动党的横行霸道。人民也需要一位能让行动党议员不会在国会里睡觉，能迫使行动党议员踊跃出席国会的反对党议员。而那把声音就是许顺全博士，对不对？所以5月7号，把您手中神圣的一票投给新加坡民主党，好不好？谈到许顺全博士，我就想到他的对手穆仁礼。在大概1个月前，我有幸遇到他本人。当时许顺全博士和我受一位居民的邀请，参加了这位居民亲戚的吊丧仪式。据这位居民跟我们透露，穆仁礼和他的基层组织人士是在未被邀请之下出席了吊丧仪式。我与穆仁礼握了2次手，他给我的感觉是一位亲切、彬彬有礼的人。可是《孙子兵法》不是有这一法吗？知己知彼，百战百胜。所以小弟我就尝试去了解穆仁礼的政治背景。在好奇心的驱使下，我心不甘情不愿地上了人民行动党的网页，去查询穆仁礼的背景。可是当我就是要了解他的时候，我越是感到困惑。为什么我这么说呢？我发现他不仅是行动党5级巴都支部的主席，他也是行动党巴耶里巴支部的代主席。各位，我又上了那个谷歌地图 Google Maps， 去测量行动党5级巴都还有行动党巴耶里巴那个支部的这个距离啊，还有行车时间。我说，如果穆仁礼如果驾车的话，他需要花半个小时驾量20公里，才从巴耶里巴到那个5级巴都。我当时的反应是，哇，掌管100多名律师的穆仁礼呀，还要在5级巴都和巴耶里巴之间奔跑啊！这样的大忙人，难怪他没有时间当全职议员啦。穆仁礼还说，如果我有幸得到选民支持和当选，我将全心全力照顾居民的需要。他还说，我会优先考虑5级巴都居民的利益。他说他会全心全意为民服务。各位，4月24日，有一位网民在探望住在阿育尼集选区的亲戚时，拍下了一张照片。照片显示，穆仁礼以行动党巴耶里巴支部主席的身份，在一位住在罗龙阿树居民的吊丧仪式上献上花圈。穆仁礼说，他会全心全意为民服务。我想，哇，他的服务是真周到啊，服务到阿育尼去。6天后，在4月30日的联合早报报道，穆仁礼又说，他并没有放弃阿育尼而去。各位，你们觉得是不是很乱？ 这是不是自相矛盾？穆文理一方面说他会优先考虑五级八都居民的利益，一方面又对阿育尼念念不忘。你们说这有没有道理？所以5月7号，请你们用选票告诉穆文理，告诉他，他不用这么累，叫他放心待在阿育尼选区，好不好？我本人相信，阿育尼选区的选民还有工人党啊，会双手迎接他的归来。我也相信，如果穆文理不幸落选，凭着他的才干和奉献精神，行动党一定会安排他在下届大选出战巴西利榜二、玉兰甚至红帽小区选区，对不对？各位5级8都选区的选民，既然穆文理这么忙啊，不如就把你手中的一票投给真正能全心全意为你服务的许顺全博士，好不好？Dr. Chee, SDP, Dr. Chee, SDP， 谢谢大家。
谢谢林文新先生。各位朋友，还有一点时间，如果你想要一些纪念品的话，可以到后面的摊位去，因为你知道反对党在新加坡要走的路是非常的艰难的，所以你每一份心意都可以帮助到他们。在这里我们也要介绍接下来这位演讲嘉宾，可以吗
Okay, I got it.
Okay, all right.
Next, we're going to introduce a very special guest of SDP. She's a very special friend of SDP. Since 2011, I've been seeing her always on the front row supporting our rallies.
接下来这位你一定不会陌生，因为从过去的群众大会到现在，她总是站第一排。
And she is none other than Miss Neo Swee Lin. She is the nominee for Best Actress for ST Live Theatre Award.
这位就是梁瑞琳，她在今年入围了新加坡海峡时报的生活戏剧奖的最佳女主角。现在欢迎这位非常家喻户晓的演员，还有戏剧界的资深前辈梁瑞琳。
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Neo Swee Lin.
欢迎梁瑞琳。
Now I feel I should speak some Mandarin, but my Mandarin is very limited. It's so nice to see so many people here today. Hello everybody, good evening. Apa khabar? Tai ke ho? Do you know who I am? No, I am not a MediaCorp artist. I didn't langgar your motorbike. Sorry, that was a cheap shot. If there are any bad jokes today, it's not my fault. I don't usually write my own script. I am not anybody's grandmother either. I certainly cannot give you any extra atapchi or ais kacang. I've seen that on Facebook. Somebody said, if they come today, will you give me that? No, I can't. Let me clarify one more thing. I am not a member of the SDP, and I am not a politician. What I am is an artist. I'm an actor. I'm a daughter, a wife. I am an individual, a Singaporean woman. I have always stayed away from politics, but politics has not stayed away from me. As an actor, I have been very lucky. I have been blessed. I have been allowed to play such wonderful roles, such as the Ama on TV that most people remember me for. Very often when I meet people on the streets, they will say to me, if they recognize me, which is not very often, because I'm not so old, right? They will say to me, hey, you're not acting anymore. Then I have to smile and say, yes, I'm still acting. even though you don't see me on TV anymore, doesn't mean I'm not working. I'm a freelance actor. Inside, I think that lah. I'm a freelance actor. I've not held many full-time jobs in my life, but trust me, I am working. I do work. I am an actor. I started out on the stage, and I'm very blessed because politics came into my life through the stage. In 2011, I did a play called Cooling Off Day. That play changed my life. I played, one of the people that I played, her name is Teo Solang. I don't know if any of you know who she is. But if you don't know who she is, Google her and find out who she is. She is my hero. The words that I had to say as her, they came in her interview in the play Cooling Off Day. She said, and those words remain with me today. Actually, politics. Everybody should be involved in politics. Why are we so afraid? She reminded me that politics is and should be a part of all our lives. So, let me continue. Last year, I played another politician in a Malay play, also by Alfian Saad, called GRC. For that role, I was nominated for Best Actress in this year's Live Theatre Awards. I didn't win, it's okay. The theme of this year's ceremony was Future Perfect. I never know how to dress up for these theme parties. But this year, my husband and I, we decided that we would go dressed like this. You know why? Because we thought about it and we said, for us, in a perfect future, we would have a true democracy in Singapore with more balanced views represented in Parliament. And you know what? We will never have that with one ruling party dominating the political scene. And you know what else happens when there's only one party dominating the scene? That one party becomes callous. I choose the word callous. We thought about it and I said, yeah, I think it is very callous because it's callous to start engaging in gutter politics. As an artist, I was so ashamed that my own Minister of Culture attacked Dr. Chee Juan personally. Then my own Prime Minister did the same. So now I want to share with you an open letter that we have written and we have sent to all the newspapers. Indulge me, allow me to just read it to you, okay? We are a group of Singaporeans who have been following the progress of the current Bukit Batok by-elections. We would like to categorically state that we do not condone the personal attacks and character assassination made by Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, Speaker of Parliament Halimah Yacob, and Minister of Culture for Community and Youth Grace Fu against Dr. Chee Juan of the SDP. We are deeply saddened at the manner in which the campaign is run. It's having deteriorated to a level that undermines our Singaporean values. It is indeed a sad state of affairs when people who have been entrusted with positions of power and leadership perpetuate such unbecoming behavior. We want an election campaign that addresses the pertinent issues facing Singaporeans, rather than one that is marred primarily by the vilification of any one person. This letter is signed by about 30 people, friends from the arts scene, academia, civil society organizations, people also from all walks of life who simply want a fair election campaign. So, if you would like the same, you can also add your name to the online petition that will be published shortly. You know, today is World Press Freedom Day. So in the spirit of a level playing field, I really hope that the newspapers will publish the letter for all to read and decide for themselves. So let me now end by sharing with you my testimony of Dr. Chee Juan. I first met Dr. Chee during the 2011 general elections. I was surprised, first of all, that he was a very nice person. He was a really nice man, a gentleman. Nothing like what the media then had painted him out to be. I have known him now for 5 years, and I am moved by his passion, impressed by his dedication. And I am here today because I believe that he is someone who will stand up for the people who have no one to represent them. He knows what it is like to be poor, to be discriminated against, and to not be given a chance. He is a man of true integrity. And through the hardship, let's face it, the hardship that he's had to endure, I think he's become a wise statesman. I voted for him last GE. My household voted for him last GE. And residents of Bukit Batok, I envy you. You are so lucky. You have a chance to vote for Dr. Chee Juan this time. I urge you, Bukit Batok residents, please vote for Dr. Chee so he can be our voice in Parliament. So he can be an alternative voice. Someone who will ask all the questions that we want to hear. He will be your full-time MP. What more can you ask for, right? Vote for Dr. Chee. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Neo.
谢谢梁瑞玲。那么梁瑞玲还有一群新加坡人发起了一个请愿书，就是说希望这一次的选举我们可以有干净的选举。
That's right, as Ms. Neo said, we only want a clean, fair contest. That's all we want.
所以各位五级八都的居民，好好的想想，好不好？接下来这位演讲者是一位医生，他也是民主党被认为最有潜力的一位新人。那么目前49岁的他，因为他的母亲一生为很多残疾人士做出了贡献，所以对他来说影响也非常的深远。那么他以志工的身份参与了民主党的事务，在2015年大选的时候，你第一次见到他，而且很多人也很喜欢他，因为他风趣直接，说话一针见血，而且他竞选了荷兰5级芝麻集选区。
Our next speaker is Professor. He can be funny at times, extremely intelligent, and very compassionate. It is with my greatest honor that we welcome Professor Paul Tambyah on stage.
欢迎淡玛雅博士。
Salam sejahtera. Saudara dan saudari, rakyat Singapura sekalian. Saya merasa bangga diberi peluang untuk memberi ucapkan menengai Dr. Chee Juan, calon SDP untuk pilihan rakyat kecil Bukit Batok ini. Dr. Chee adalah seorang yang berwibawa dan telah menyumbangkan dan berkhidmat kepada rakyat Singapura selama 20 tahun dengan beraninya. Maafkan saya kerana tidak fasih berucap dalam bahasa kebangsaan kita. Sedihnya inilah hakikat keadaan negara kita di mana majoriti rakyat tidak boleh bahasa Melayu. Mudah-mudahan dengan adanya Dr. Chee di Parlimen nanti, keadaan akan lebih seimbang dan lebih ramai lagi warga Singapura akan dapat berbahasa kebangsaan kita. Ini akan lebih menyatukan kita sebagai rakyat Singapura. Kinilah masanya. Undilah Dr. Chee Soon Juan. Terima kasih. Okay, that was hard. 朋友、同胞们，投票日快到了，所以我在这里呼吁你们投齐顺权一标。对不起，我很紧张了，很少用华语了。让他做乌鸡巴杜的国会议员。为什么我这么说？有几个原因。第一，徐顺权博士答应大家，他会做全职议员，他会全心全力为他乌鸡巴杜居民服务，就跟一些议员一样，比如工人党的比丹星先生，或者人民行动党的陈贝玲女士。第二，徐顺权也提出了几个社区计划，资源人自会负责这些计划，为帮助乌鸡巴杜的居民。这些计划也是为老人学生开办的。第三，你们不要担心，租屋的翻新，不要担心你们的住宅区 URA 跟 HDB 这些政府购居是很专业的，他们不是偏帮谁，只要5月7号那天选出来的新议员，这些政府机构就会跟新议员合作，这是当然的，这是比公平的。第四，徐顺权博士是一个君子，他和他的家人为新加坡和新加坡的公民做出了很多牺牲。我认识他已经几年了，虽然他过去了犯错了，我们这些人也一样有犯错，可是他对民主、他对自由的信念没有改变。他要建设一个更美好的新加坡，让徐顺权进入国会，让他给国会带来不同的声音。他是这样的人，他会勇敢地提出新加坡人关心的问题，比如说你们的公积金，还是我们的机制无法应付人口增长，所以造成地铁和医院非常的拥挤。就是现在，你们可以做出改变，告诉你的家人，告诉你的朋友，投徐博士一票，投民主党一票，谢谢你。Friends, fellow Singaporeans, thank you all for coming out this evening. I'd like to begin once again by restating my thanks to all those who have made this campaign possible. The people who worked tirelessly behind the scenes, those in the office preparing all the paperwork, organizing the teams of volunteers, our commissioners of oaths dealing with the media, those in the logistics unit who put together this beautiful stage, merchandise, perambulators, and all the wonderful infrastructure you see. The ground ops people who are still knocking on doors, they have never stopped working since GE 2015. Although they did have to shift from Marsiling to Bukit Batok, they did that really well. A special thanks to our comms team, who have been rapidly responding to evolving situations, producing creative videos, and helping us to overcome the mountain of media control in Singapore. That is what the SDP is all about. A small band of dedicated volunteers trying to climb the mountain for a better Singapore. one that is true to our pledge, a democratic society based on justice and equality. This campaign, I learned a new phrase. It's called inclusive journalism. Apparently now editors feel that they can include words that people never said in headlines without apologizing for doing so. They just amend the online version of the article, or they ignore requests and appeals for corrections. Today is World Press Freedom Day, as you heard from Swee Lin. Singapore's press is ranked 154 out of 180 countries, and I think we all know why. Don't boo, okay? In that spirit, I would like to share a little parable. It's an inclusive parable. In other words, it's made up, but it's got some meaning. It's based on an internet meme which I saw a couple of days ago. Okay, listen, it goes like this. Okay, Chee Juan is pictured drinking a can of Coke. The Wan Pao runs a story that goes like this. Dr. Chee is proud of his wild and crazy Coca-Cola drinking habits. The Prime Minister reads the Wan Pao and says, oh, I've known Dr. Chee for many years and he hasn't changed. Coke, Pepsi, it's always soft drinks for him. Madam Halima Yaakob chips in. We are Asians. We are Singaporeans. Dr. Chee should not be drinking Coke. He should be drinking soya bean or chrysanthemum tea. Miss Grace Fu replies, he's unemployed and therefore worthless. How does he afford to drink Coke? The Straits Times decides to go one better and publishes a story saying, Dr. Chee says that nutrition does not matter. Finance Minister Heng Swee Keat reads that and reports, that is the most astounding thing I've ever heard in Singapore politics and public health. How can anyone deny the importance of basic nutrition? That means anyone can be free to drink a soft drink at will without being accountable for his weight. Truly astounding. Not to be outdone, Emeritus Senior Minister Goh Chok Tong writes in his Facebook page, I had amnesia. Maybe 15 years ago, I recall Dr. Chee reaching out and giving one tight tug on a can of Coke. No one really knows what he means. But jokes aside, I think we all agree that character is important. A person's character, however, is not determined from distorted media reports or from some wayang show. Character is something which is best determined by those who know you best. Those who can see you apart from the limelight, away from the cameras. They know who you really are. On Sunday night, I was privileged to catch a glimpse of Dr. Chee and his mother right after his speech, just before the book signing. The tender look that she gave him spoke volumes about Dr. Chee's character, far more than anyone else could put it. As we come up to the Mother's Day weekend, we know our mothers know us best. My mother certainly does. The late Margaret Thatcher was one of my least favorite politicians, but she made a very good point when she said, I always cheer up immensely when an attack is particularly wounding, because I think, well, if they attack one personally, it means they do not have a single political argument left. We are very glad that according to the Today newspaper, Mr. Murali has decided to distance himself from the character assassination attempts that have been carried out by members of his party. That reflects well on his character and allows us to focus on his agenda. So I'll begin with the HIP and the NRP programs. As I've mentioned earlier, we are convinced that these programs will go ahead as planned. The HDB and URA are non-partisan, and if the residents want to continue these programs, they will continue. This is what happened in Aljunied with Yunos Spring, and there's no reason why they cannot continue in Bukit Batok. The job placement program you talked about is a nice idea, but ideally job placement should be on a national level with opportunities that go beyond Jurong and Clementi so that residents of Bukit Batok can enjoy opportunities across the country. Again, a number of these national initiatives will go on regardless of who is the MP for Bukit Batok. In difficult times, these opportunities will be limited, so there is a need for someone who can speak up in Parliament for a meaningful national approach for people who have lost their jobs in an economic downturn. Dr. Chee and the SDP have proposed the Restart program, which is a hybrid approach to unemployment insurance. Just like minimum wage proposed by the SDP years ago, which suddenly became a progressive wage package, we have no doubt that unemployment insurance will emerge in the years to come. Having an advocate in Parliament who's not constrained by the party whip will help workers in Bukit Batok and elsewhere have a better chance of temporary support while trying to find a job. Next, Mr. Murali proposes a healthcare cooperative for the elderly and has indicated that he'll work with Dr. Carol Tan, who leads the Good Life Cooperative. I know Dr. Tan, and in fact, I met her last Saturday at a vaccination event. She's an active member of several voluntary welfare organizations and also a member of the PAP. I discussed community work with her way back in 2011, together with the Workers' Party in Aljunied Alkang. Mr. Murali referred to some of those efforts in Paya Lebar. Her group, the Good Life Cooperative, have done a number of programs for the elderly, including health talks, that have featured Dr. Cheng Shin Chuan, a member of SDP's healthcare panel and an active volunteer during this campaign. You can even see the two of them speaking together at the Good Life Cooperative's Facebook page. And this is good for Singapore. It shows that people are willing to work across party lines for the benefit of Singaporeans. And I'm sure that Dr. Tan and her work will continue regardless of who is elected MP of Bukit Batok. But once again, while Mr. Murali's healthcare cooperative is a commendable initiative, we think that the SDP healthcare plan is better. It's a more comprehensive approach, offering genuine, universal, evidence-based healthcare coverage for all. With Dr. Chee in Parliament, this can be the standard by which all healthcare reform in Singapore is benchmarked. Hopefully, with comprehensive healthcare reform, there will be less need for handouts for the elderly for programs like this Good Life Cooperative, because they can go to access our polyclinics and private GPs at affordable rates. Dr. Murali's other proposals on care for students and the elderly are somewhat similar to our social programs that John has talked about earlier. The difference is we do not want to depend on government handouts to fund them, but we want to mobilize you, the residents of Bukit Batok, to activate our gotong royong spirit so we can help each other out, empower one another, and make Bukit Batok a model town. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Murali seems a decent man who refuses to stoop to gutter politics. In fact, the only silver lining is this: if, despite all the efforts of our volunteers and Dr. Chee himself, Mr. Murali wins on 7th May, we will be able to destroy the notion that Singaporeans vote on racial lines. The rationale for GRC will be exposed for what it is, an attempt to get weak candidates into Parliament on the coattails of anchor ministers. I really disliked the experience during GE of having to apply for a certificate to be Indian enough for the Holland Bukit Timah GRC. Dr. Chee and Ms. Chong did not need a majority certificate to certify they were Chinese enough. I don't think, however, that destroying the rationale for GRCs is a price worth paying to elect yet another cookie-cutter PAP MP. Mr. Murali will be yet another successful professional, joining the ranks of 82 other PAP MPs who will vote as instructed by the party whip, serve the constituency while keeping his day job like the majority of PAP MPs. On the other hand, if and when Dr. Chee is elected, you will get a full-time MP. You'll definitely get an independent voice in Parliament, someone who is not afraid to hold the government accountable. Mr. Murali will not abandon a place he has served for 16 years. If and when Dr. Chee is elected, you'll get two for the price of one. You'll have Dr. Chee as your full-time MP speaking in Parliament, running a model town with the SDP Town Council, and you'll have Mr. Murali either here or in Paya Lebar as the PAP branch chair to help out in addition to the SDP services. Now is the time. Vote for Dr. Chee. Vote SDP. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Paul.
谢谢亚博士。
How are you all feeling? Good? All right.
那里的朋友，你们要不要过来？就是现在，我们要请最后一位演讲者出场了。所以，如果你们想听得更清楚，想看得到他的话，请移到中间来，好不好？
Yes. Well, you know, in the movie Rocky, the title character Rocky says this: "It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Nobody epitomizes this more than our last speaker for today.
接下来这段话非常适合形容我们最后一位演讲者。人最可贵的地方，不是你的拳头多大，可以混到别人多夹烂夹烂。人最可贵的地方是，即使你被人混到夹烂夹烂，躺在地上流血，被羞辱，你还是有勇气、坚强、有风度、有智慧的站起来。我们欢迎我们最后一位演讲者徐顺全博士
Dr. Chee Soon Juan.
谢谢大家，很欢迎你们来参加这个群众大会。我先用一些中文跟福建话，先跟你们解释一下子。我们乌鸡巴都这个区很多老人家。真啊多老人家对无？我伫巴沙岛伫大摆154碰到很多，那个阿伯甲阿姆，阿姆为这真啊可爱，他们很欢迎我们去，每次会跟我们握手，跟我们聊天一下子。然后那天就有一个记者，他问我说：“你感觉怎么样啊？你是那个 anti killer， 你感觉怎么样？”我看你们搞错啊！我 anti killer， 我现在自己也是安哥了嘞。我不是 anti killer 啦，我现在是阿姆 killer。但是呢，我只要最重要的代志，想甲人提出来，即阵让新加坡的老人家过日无简单。即2014年迄阵，126个老人自杀。从2000年到2014年，跳了60%。你好好听对不？126个，伊有无一日、3日一个老人来自杀？海峡时报他有讲，他们有访问一些老人家，他们有一个85岁的阿伯，他说：“我一个人，无人。”顾我的隔壁2个自杀，无人知。伊讲味素臭臭，才人发现。我莫安尼款死，我老了，我死迄阵，我爱人知。我人。来这边578度，几个礼拜尔，就2个老人自杀。咱安怎安尼款呢？安怎老人家爱有出去的艰苦，找无路行，那无变，就爱自杀。穆拉里先生，伊讲，我爱照顾，我爱照顾，让老人家，我想讲，伊讲伊直到16年对无？伊16年，伊等到补选爱来了，伊就讲伊爱顾老人家。你听了有淡薄奇怪无？伊16年阵，安怎无做啥物物件咧？互咱老人家管你艰苦咧？管你受苦咧，爱自杀咧， 我跟你讲，伊无办法做什么物件的，因为咧，毋是伊做部长，伊无做部长，无做政府。你想看 ，PAP 对咱老人家，吼，我有阿毛话啊，我有这个有群众大会，我有来讲了。咱古早讲咱老人家讲，伊电梯无吼，无逐楼有停的对无？伊讲甲政府讲，我人爬楼梯啦，哦，骹疼，你会使讲，咱的电梯。甲咱起会使逐楼停的无 ？PAP 讲啥物咧？你投我的票，我才做好了。即期的政府，即期的话伊会讲，即个行动党政府，你莫听人讲较济，伊若真诶是无咱老人家的心。但是，咱也是讲，咱的国会无较侪反对党，无民主党，伊的政府袂听咱的话，袂听咱人民的话。若是咱的国会有较侪人反对党，政府的态度会变的。我如果当选，当5G8度的国会议员，我一定会进入国会，替你们斗争，替我们老人家出声发言，跟阿伯阿姆跟他们讲，说他们年轻的时候辛辛苦苦工作赚钱，到我们今天我们的国家。这么成功，有今天，让那个政府，让这个行动党来说，哇，我们多好，我们的经济弄得这么好。但是呢，他现在这老的时候呢，他们像 tissue paper， 用完了就把它丢一边，为啥要那款呢？我们的态度，对老人家的态度。要改变，我要跟我们老人家也是讲，说政府有责任，政府有责任，他们给你们比较享受的时候，不是送你礼物的，是他们应该给你的。我也是要跟老人家，我一直听说。哎呀，新加坡的老人家他们比较支持行动党。行动党这么欺负你们，他们就每次就想说：哎呀，无变啦，我有囝有互我淡薄哩，一个月200-300块，有够用，淡薄艰苦的，有鸡食鸡，无鸡食咸，一日去楼骹食一盘饭。叫淡薄菜，叫一淡薄肉，食安尼款刷去。我是要甲你讲，咱莫直直爱靠你人的囝，你的囝啊有家己的囝顾，你的孙爱顾。啊，如果有一天他们被裁员的时候，那怎么办呢？所以我要跟你们讲，我们5G8度的老人家讲，说不要。继续那样再一直支持行动党投他们的票，你们要知道，说你们要支持这次有机会投我们行动党的票，让我进入国会来替你们出声，替你们发言。所以大家希望你们到处，如果他们老的一辈。他们觉得来这里不方便，我希望说你们回去的时候，如果你有听，跟你爸妈讲，叫他们不要再投行动党的票，投民主党的票，支持民主党，这个是一个很好的机会，支持民主党，投我们的票，谢谢大家，感谢了，谢谢。 谢谢大家。Thank you, everyone. Hello, Bukit Batok. Hello, Singapore. A very good evening to all of you here at the Industrial Park and to the thousands more who are watching this rally online at home. We're into the 7th day of the by-election and more than a month since we started the campaign to spread the message of building a better town here in Bukit Batok. The schedule has been punishing, but we're feeling very excited and upbeat as we head into this last stretch of the campaign. Tonight, I want to elaborate a little more about our program, Hearts for Bukit Batok, which I talked about at the last rally and which I believe will greatly benefit the residents of the town. Now, Bukit Batok is a mature estate with a large segment of the population made up of the elderly. Nowadays, however, the elderly in Singapore are going through a very tough time. There has been a steady increase in the number of older people committing suicide. In the year 2000, 79 seniors committed suicide. In 2010, the number jumped to 95. In 2014, 120 elderly people killed themselves, an increase of 60% from 2000. In other words, one elderly person commits suicide in every 3 days in Singapore. Last month, the Straits Times reported that the elderly are increasingly afraid of dying alone, with nobody knowing. An 85-year-old man said, "I am alone. There is no one to take care of me. 2 of my neighbors died, and people found out only because of the smell. I don't want to die alone. I don't want the same thing to happen to me. I'm in my old age already, and when I die, I want someone to know." Now, social workers say this problem will only get worse. Many of these problems are created by PAP policies. For example, some elderly people are forced to downgrade their flats so that they can get some income. The problem is that when they do, they often have to uproot from their community which they may have lived for decades and move to an entirely new neighborhood. They could be displaced from their families and friends, and for the elderly, this is very traumatic. Does this government really understand the plight of our elderly? There have been 2 elderly suicides since just in few weeks since our campaign started here in Bukit Batok. These have not been reported. I don't think so. We found these out as we were walking the ground. Why does it have to be this way? Why do our elderly have to live such kinds of misery and die, or worse, kill themselves in loneliness and fear? Mr. Murali says he wants to focus on the poor and the elderly. Hang on a minute. If Mr. Murali says he's been here for 16 years, then why? Why is he expressing concern about the elderly poor only in the last 6 weeks when the by-election was called? Surely he could have done something for the poor and the elderly here in Bukit Batok in the time that he says he's been here. The truth is that there's very little he can do about the plight of our elderly because it is the policies of his party that has caused our elderly to live such miserable lives. This must change. We must take better care of our elderly. We must raise the quality of life for our elderly folk, starting with our residents here in Bukit Batok. As your MP, I will see to it that our older folks get the life and the respect they require and deserve. Ape, Pachi, Machi, when you were young, you worked just as hard, if not harder than any of us, and you contributed to our nation's development, just like us. When you become old, your government cannot just put you to one side. The PAP cannot treat you like tissue paper. use you, and then throw you away after it uses you. No. We must take care of our elderly better, if only because one day we will become old ourselves. I will tackle this issue on two fronts. First, as I explained earlier, we will implement our initiative Hearts for Bukit Batok and raise awareness among the residents to help the elderly poor in our constituency. And it's just not money that we're talking about. It's the quality of life, the day-to-day existence that the elderly go through that needs to be considered too. They need interaction and activity, both physical and mental, to keep mobile, to keep active. And we will be organizing programs and getting the help of volunteers through our Hearts for Bukit Batok program, such as organizing bingo nights, mahjong mornings, gardening, and so on. These activities will help to fill the lives of our older residents and give them something to look forward to when they wake up every morning. Second, I will raise this issue in Parliament, and I will raise this issue in Parliament again and again and again and again until the government increases the budget for assistance for our elderly and provide more care for elderly Singaporeans. I want you, our elderly residents, to lead a full life and not have to constantly worry about who is going to take care of you. You need to lead more independent lives instead of having to rely on your children for support, because they have their own young children to look after and they cannot afford to look after two generations in the family. The government must do its part. As your MP, I will do my part to push for programs that will pay more attention to your needs. And one of the big attractions of our Hearts for Bukit Batok is to facilitate residents in the constituency adopting a family from the lower income group, of which many are scattered throughout the town. Now you may think that this program is to help the needy. Yes, it does. But that's only one part of it. It is also to help families who provide the assistance. That is, the givers. I'm a strong believer in the adage, it is better to give than to receive. And I am sure that there are many of you who feel the same way. When we give, we reinforce the idea that we are one in the world. This is why in whatever religion we practice, to whichever faith we subscribe to, be it Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and so on, we are called to serve by helping those, especially the weak and poor among us. This is the core tenet of many religious teachings. It is what makes us human. Humans are selfish, yes, but we can also be capable of much kindness and compassion. Whether we orientate ourselves towards selfishness or selflessness depends very much on leaders of the community. If the MP in Bukit Batok can foster and cultivate a community that emphasizes on giving and helping those around us, then I believe this will be the beginning of something special, something we can be truly proud of as a community. I want the residents and community of Bukit Batok to adopt a different attitude and outlook. I want to be that enabler, the facilitator of a more compassionate, more giving society. I believe the MP can be that spark to ignite the generosity of spirit latent in all of us. I want to be such an MP. Another initiative that we have proposed in our social program is called the Dollars and Cents Project. Retrenchments are coming thick and fast with the economic downturn. It's going to get worse, much worse, ladies and gentlemen. What happens when you get retrenched? And I'm not just talking about the lower wage workers. I'm talking about our professionals and managers and engineers and technicians. Ask our shipyard workers, our factory managers, our shop sales staff. As our ship industry are rocked by oil price crash, our factories relocate and our shops and our shopping malls close down one by one. I don't care if you're a sales assistant or the sales manager. When the economy is as bad as it is now, your job is not safe. And when you find yourself laid off, what do you do? What do you do when you're called into your boss's office and told that you don't have to come in tomorrow because your company is downsizing? How do you prepare yourself and your family for such a scenario? Your income all of a sudden dries up, but you still have to pay your housing loan, your children's school expenses, your PUB bill, buy food for your family. Unexpected layoffs cause severe strain on the entire family with serious social repercussions. Even though the income stops, the bills don't. Our Dollars and Cents program, headed by Mr. Tan Kin Lian, will be able to help you plan ahead. You cannot find a more qualified professional to head our team because Mr. Tan is currently the president of the Financial Services Consumer Association and former CEO of NTUC Income. Dollars and Cents will be in program to provide financial guidance to help those of you who find yourselves in financial difficulties. In addition, and for the longer term, I will push for the retrenchment insurance scheme for our retrenched workers. Here's what we propose. If a worker is retrenched, the scheme pays her or him 75% of his last drawn salary for the first 6 months, and 50% for the second 6 months, and 25% for the final 6 months if he still hasn't found a job. The payout stops once the individual is re-employed or 18 months after retrenchment. The payout is capped at the prevailing median wage, which is about $4,000 a month right now. In other words, a retrenched employee earning, say, $3,200 a month would be paid $2,400 for the first 6 months a month, $1,600 a month for the next 6 months if he still hasn't found a job, and $800 a month for the final 6 months. But an employee who earns, say, $10,000 a month will receive $3,000 for the first 6 months, $2,000 a month for the second 6 months, and $1,000 a month for the final 6 months because of the median cap. And the Ministry of Manpower will then assist the retrenched worker to seek re-employment and help match his or her skill and salary level to a new job where possible. And the individual can reject only up to 3 job offers. Now, such a job is meant to provide temporary and limited assistance to retrenched workers to tide them through the difficult time until they find another job. Employees, while you are still working, pay a small amount each month, which will be deducted from your CPF, and the government will foot the remainder of the bill. Now, the PAP says that such a scheme would breed a welfare state mentality and bankrupt our economy. This is not true, because leading global economic powerhouses like Germany and the Scandinavian countries all have such retrenchment schemes. Asian economies like Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong also have retrenchment insurance policies. Do any of these economies look like welfare states to you? We can take the best practices of these economies and adapt them for our use here in Singapore. Even economists at the Institute of Policy Studies at NTU, and even PAP MPs agree with our proposal to introduce such a scheme. If elected, I will continue to push for this policy to help retrenched workers. Mr. Murali says, but he prefers to focus on helping you find re-employment. Yes, I know. I want to do that too. But unfortunately, he's not the trade minister, or he's not the minister for manpower. In fact, it is his party that is not creating jobs for Singaporeans. In all of last year, the government created only 100 jobs. Yes, you heard it right. 100 jobs for citizens and permanent residents. That means 1 job per constituency. Voters of Bukit Batok, only 1 job was created per constituency. How many of you here in Bukit Batok think you're going to fight for that 1 job if and when you're retrenched? And Mr. Lee Hsien Loong then in his May Day rally on Sunday said that the PAP system is better. He said, and I quote, "So why not take advantage of the schemes paid for by the government to get yourself employed instead of staying unemployed? Please support us and upgrade yourself. Make yourself employable." Unquote. Yes. And then we all live happily ever after. The end. Please upgrade yourself and make yourself employable. Now, why didn't we think of that? You mean we just paid him $2.5 million a year so that Mr. Lee can now tell us to upgrade ourselves and make ourselves employable? I can hear Singaporeans say, "Who don't know? Like that I also can." If you create only 100 jobs a year and thousands are retrenched, then no matter how you upgrade yourselves, what are the chances of you finding re-employment? And the PAP continues with its foreign workers policy, I beg your pardon. We keep upgrading ourselves and the government keeps bringing in foreign workers who may not necessarily have better skills, but who are cheaper. How do we compete like this? Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may still have a job now, but you never know when you are going to get retrenched. Don't wait until you get called in and told that you have been laid off before you start thinking about having someone to fight for retrenchment benefits for you. By then, it'll be too late. If elected, I will work with WP MPs and even PAP MPs who want to see retrenchment entitlement for workers. Why not? When we are elected to serve the people, and MPs should work together for the good of the people instead of constantly bickering whether we belong to this party or that party. I will propose a retrenchment insurance scheme bill, and I will work with fellow MPs to try to pass the bill. My friends, what I have just told you is something that you must listen carefully, because this affects you if you are studying now and entering the job market soon, or if you're working at the moment, or if you are parents with children who are about to graduate. I ask you all to listen carefully, because this will affect your children's lives too. If you vote for the wrong person, for the wrong reason, and he goes into parliament and he will not speak up for you on this issue, your future is in a lot of trouble. This is a by-election, and it's the perfect opportunity to send me into parliament to speak up for you and your children, or your grandchildren, on this issue. Now, even for those of you who remain employed and know that you will continue to remain employed, my next question to you is, how sure are you that you will be able to retire? A few weeks ago, I was at the coffee shop in block 207. It's just across the road from here. And I was talking to a retiree. He was retrenched a few years ago because of the crash in oil prices. And he couldn't get back his savings because of the minimum sum scheme. He said he went to see Mr. David Ong, but there was nothing the MP could do for him. Recently, there was a Mr. Fan Pang Chia. You may have read about him in the letter that he wrote to the Today newspaper, pointing out that the CPF board had informed his wife that she would be able to start withdrawing a monthly payout from a CPF account when she hit 64. The CPF added that with her retirement account balance, the balance can last her another 64 years. Now, then Mr. Fan asked the government, why would his wife need her retirement account to last until the age of 128 when the oldest Singaporean ever lived was 115 years old? This is the kind of unthinking government, unthinking policy that we have. If you want to be generous. But if you want to be suspicious, then you have to ask whether the government is withholding our CPF money because it doesn't have enough funds to pay us all back because of its failed investments. A few weeks ago, the Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank released a study which said that the cost of living makes Singapore one of the toughest countries to retire in. Nearly half of Singaporean pre-retirees say that they would not be able to retire in the next 5 years. The global average is only 38%. Singapore is 50%. 30% say that they will never be able to retire fully. 30%, compared with 18% globally. Now, respondents said that the problem is the lack of savings or the burden of having dependents to look after. Now, the head of HSBC said that the financial realities make retirement impossible for Singaporeans. And yet, because of the CPF scheme, we are the biggest savers in the world in terms of our retirement. How is it that despite this, we still don't have enough to retire on? What went wrong? I'll tell you what went wrong. The government has driven us to use our CPF money to buy our HDB flats. It then jacks up HDB prices so that we have to use more and more of our CPF to buy our homes. Now, what once belonged to you in your CPF account has now gone to the government. The government then takes these funds and goes around the world to invest them. Now, with hundreds of billions of dollars at its disposal, the world will roll out the red carpet. But remember, this is not the government's money. It's your money. Now, this has left Singaporeans with little disposable income for retirement, as I said. And the little that we have left, after paying off our flats, the government now wants to retain it under the minimum sum scheme and tells us that it will then return it to us in bits and pieces. Now, in another study, and this one by Credit Leone Securities Asia, and I mentioned this at the last GE, it was found that 50%, mind you, 50% of our households in Singapore have little or no savings. That means you're talking about the middle class right now. These families subsist from paycheck to paycheck, and, quote, leave them unable to cope with unexpected financial expenses, unquote. If a mishap should befall you, you and your family are but one major medical bill away from financial ruin. Accidents, as you know, can happen anytime to anyone. Very few people have asked necessary questions about our CPF and our reserves, but there is one expert who studies what sovereign wealth funds do. His name is Chris Balding, Professor Chris Balding from Peking University. Singapore sovereign wealth funds are GIC and Temasek. GIC is chaired by PM Lee Hsien Loong, and Temasek is run by his wife, Madam Ho Ching. Professor Balding has pointed out 3 problem areas with our sovereign wealth funds, in particular Temasek Holdings. The first is that Temasek Holdings says that its average annual return is 16% for 40 years. The problem is that Singapore's global stock returns average only 8% or less during this period. How does Temasek make such a claim? Second, Singapore has become one of the most indebted countries in the world. This is despite the government telling us that it runs large surpluses on a regular basis. Professor Balding examined the publicly available data and concludes that there is about $800 billion that is unaccounted for from historical surpluses and financing operations when the claimed interest is factored in. Third, Professor Balding says that the returns claimed by Temasek and GIC cannot be reconciled. I know that it's hard to follow all these financial terms and figures, and frankly, you don't have to. I don't understand much of it either. But what you do need to understand is that it is enormously important that we know what is happening to our reserves, because a large part of this is our CPF funds. If anything happens to these reserves, I don't care how rich or how poor you are, whether you live in the Jade or the Dew or in Block 210A, you and I and the whole of our economy and our country is going to go down the drain. As it is, we don't know what is going on with our CPF reserves. But we do know one thing. The government continues to not want to return us back our savings by raising the minimum sum, which the government will retain even after we retire. And then it keeps raising our retirement age from 62 to 65, and soon it'll be 67. The CPF withdrawal age will keep going up too. Do we even know what is happening to our reserves? Has the government incurred huge losses in failed investments and cannot pay us back? And then come up with a scheme to retain our money? Remember, the CPF money is our money, as I said. The PAP is not doing us a favor by giving it back to us. We are entitled to get back our savings. Get me into Parliament to find out what is going on with our reserves. I will call for the accounts to be made public and for a team of experts to comb through the numbers to see why there is all this uncertainty in the claims made by the GIC and Temasek Holdings. We cannot remain so uninformed about the state of our reserves. The PAP is already the government. Now is the time to put in Parliament someone who will ask the tough questions, the right questions on your behalf. Now, the other day, a lady resident asked me, what plans are there for the middle class? We have made plans for the poor and the elderly, but nothing for the sandwich class. My response to her is that the best proposal I can give her is to fight for her retrenchment benefits if she gets retrenched and to free up her CPF savings for her retirement. Now ask yourself this one important question. Do you think Mr. Murali, if he is elected, is going to Parliament and question his party bosses these questions about the GIC and Temasek and to fight to have your CPF savings returned to you and for retrenchment benefits for you? Now, dear voters of Bukit Batok, these are serious matters that affect not just you but your children as well. You make the wrong choice and elect the wrong person, and when things start to happen, you will find that you won't have anyone to speak up for you in Parliament. While you have this opportunity, make the right choice. Now, the PAP tells you that I have a bad character, and you shouldn't vote for me. And that's all they've been saying for these past several days. One by one, the ministers have popped up to take shots at me. Every single one of them attacking me very personally and very viciously. But I don't care. Unlike the PAP, I want to appeal to the good sense and good hearts of you, the Bukit Batok voters. I don't want to see politics become so poisonous. I've seen how it can ruin countries. And if we continue down this path, we will tear our country apart. If I have to play so dirty, to be so destructive and tear down my opponent so badly in order to win, then no, leave me out of it. Then I don't want to win. As I said before, if I win, I want to win with honor. If I lose, I want to lose with grace. On Saturday, no matter who wins, I want to wish all the residents in Bukit Batok the very best. You deserve nothing less. If you choose Mr. Murali as your MP, I will respect your wishes. And I will continue to serve you in whatever way I can. I'll give you an example of what we mean by having the Bukit Batok's residents at heart. And on this, I want to address Mr. Murali directly. For example, Mr. Murali, you just announced that you want to start a student mentorship program for Bukit Batok. Even though it sounds suspiciously similar to our Pathfinder program, I welcome it. If I don't get elected and you do, then I look forward to you implementing this program. Because at the end of the day, my foremost concern is that the youth in Bukit Batok get the kind of attention they need. And regarding personal attacks, right from the word go, when I learned that you were going to be the PAP candidate, I accorded you my utmost respect. I did not do it because you were a lawyer, or because you were rich, or because you are the chairman of a PAP branch. I did it because you are a fellow human being. I've asked my colleagues in the SDP not to attack you and your person, and I think we have kept our word. But sadly, even though Mr. Tharman gave us his promise, your party colleagues have broken the promise repeatedly. They have attacked me in the most personal and vicious of ways, even resorting to using made-up newspaper headlines. Now, even though I may not agree with you and your political views, I've asked and ensured that our campaign does not attack you personally. I ask that you do the same with your campaign and ask Lee Hsien Loong, Goh Chok Tong, Halimah Yacob, Tan Chuan Jin, Grace Fu, and others to stop engaging in such dirty politics. I'm in charge of my campaign. If you are in charge of yours, you will ask your colleagues to stop their nonsense. And just as I've made sure that the SDP's campaign remains clean and focused on what Bukit Batok residents care about, please ensure that yours does the same. I say this because I want to use this opportunity to appeal to the best side of our people. Politics can be used to divide, or it can be used to unite us. As leaders, we have the responsibility to ensure that we use politics for the good of our nation. I ask the PAP to have foresight, not win the battle in Bukit Batok and then lose the war for Singapore. Our country cannot afford that divisiveness. I have only seen you, my friends in Bukit Batok, as my friend, my fellow citizen, whom I want to help and speak up for. If you support me, it is because I am someone who has earned your support. Someone who has worked for 25 years to earn your trust. Not someone who can buy your vote, not someone who can give you more and more of what you want, and certainly not someone who feels entitled to be your MP. In the past weeks, I have met many of you. I have chatted with you. I have laughed with you. And I've even sung Cipaban with you. Whether you are Chinese, or Malay, or Indian, or Eurasian, many of you have expressed your support for me. And for that, I am grateful. I have shaken your hands. And I have looked you. And you have looked me in my eyes and say you support me. It's not because you see me as Chinese or Malay or Indian. It's because you see me as someone who cares what happens to you and what happens to Singapore, regardless of the color of my skin or yours. You support me because you see me as someone who wasn't here just 6 weeks ago, but someone who started this journey 25 years ago. Someone who stumbled many times along the way, was knocked down many times, but got up each and every time and pressed on. You saw me as someone who was so tired and so weary during many parts of the journey, and who was so tempted to give up, but never did. You see me not as a hero, but as an ordinary guy who lives like you in a 3-room HDB flat. Who goes through what you are going through. And because of this, also see someone who understands, really understands what you mean when you say you are hurting and that you want someone to speak up for you in Parliament. The PAP continues to attack my character. They've called me all sorts of names: cheat, liar, gangster, traitor, psychopath. They've sacked me, jailed me, sued me, and made me a bankrupt. But I'm still standing. The taunts, the insults, the punishments, the attacks have been unrelenting. But I do not bow to those who mock me, nor will I bend to those who attack me. I will not kneel before them, because one cannot stand up for one's principles, for one's beliefs, for one's people on bended knees. As long and as hard as the struggle has been, I walk with my head held high. I can do this because it doesn't matter who the PAP says I am. What matters is God knows who I am. My wife and my children know who I am. And most important, I know who I am. And because that which does not kill you makes you stronger, I have grown stronger with every attack. But as my children grow older and they begin to understand what's being said about their father in the newspapers and on TV, I want to tell them this. Anlin, Elin, and Shoha, as you watch this rally at home, I want to tell you that there are many things in life that I want to teach you as a father. But the most important lesson that I can impart to you is that we don't ruin others in order to rise up. We don't step on others' dreams in order to fulfill ours. And we don't ridicule others for not being like us. Instead, we lift up our friends. We extend a hand to strangers, and we forgive our enemies. We do what is good so that others may see the goodness in our hearts and want for themselves what they see in us. That is character. And I want you never to forget this lesson. My friends, don't vote for Mr. Murali because you believe what his colleagues say about me. Or don't vote for me because I'm Chinese. Vote for me because you have met me, because you have talked to me. Vote for me because you know who I am, because you are proud of me. And I want you to be proud of your MP, to say with pride that I am from Bukit Batok and my Chee Juan is my MP. Not because I'm smarter, not because I'm richer, not because I'm more powerful, but because you know that you have a friend, someone who cares about what happens to you, and someone you know who stands by you and struggles with you and wakes up every day to fight for you. Thank you. Good night, my friends.
Thank you, Dr. Chee. The man himself. Give it up.
谢谢徐顺全博士。我们要一场干净的选举，我们也要一场有骨气的选举。
We've got a supporter here who wishes to present a bouquet of honor.
这一位支持者将为徐顺全博士献上花环。
And Ms. Jaslyn Go will present a bouquet of flowers on behalf of another supporter.
另外还有一位支持者，他也献上了一束花。
What is the time? What is the time? What is the time? Dr. Chee! Dr. Chee! Dr. Chee! Give yourself a big round of applause!
Ladies and gentlemen, vote for Dr. Chee. He will be serving the constituency full-time. He will be a full-time MP. What more can you ask from an MP?
等一下，我们将会有一个签名活动，也就是说，如果你手头上有徐顺全博士的书的话，你可以亲自得到他的签名。我们的工作人员会给你指示。如果你没有书，不认识他，你不知道，那请到后面的摊位去，那里有他的著作，你可以从中去了解他到底是怎么样的人。
Yes, Dr. Chee will be doing an autograph signing session. He'll be sitting in front of the stage. There's a table being prepared. Please follow instructions from our
right here, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, before you leave this rally site, please go to our merchandise. Please support the SDP. We need every help we can get from you. So please support our merchandise and remember, Dr. Chee writes. Dr. Chee is the author. He sells his books. So please support Dr. Chee by getting a book from him. There are a few books for sale, A Nation Cheated, democratically speaking, they are all up on sale at the booth. So please support Dr. Chee by getting a book or two from him.